Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to speak about getting acquainted and intimate with failure. So just getting straight into it, no matter what you do in life, you're always going to be met with failure. And that's just part of the learning and growing process. Whether it's something like learning to be able to socialize, or even something like starting a business, going on a fitness journey, whatever it is, you have to understand that failure is going to be a part of that journey. So I think a lot of people are afraid of failure, and they think that if they fail, if they don't succeed in something, then that automatically means that they need to quit, or that says something about their value, which it doesn't. It just means that this is a lesson that you have to take moving forward in order to get to a higher and better level on that journey. And so I think I can only really speak from my own experience and what I see, but I know in the areas of life that I've tried to achieve in, failure has been one of those things that have simultaneously held me back the most because I succumbed to it, but also at the same time, it's been one of those things that's really propelled me the most, because through that failure and through embracing what that means and what failure actually represents, you start to understand that that's just the next step in that process of getting better or improving in whatever it is you're trying to improve in. And so I think that it's so important that we become intimate with failure. We learn to embrace it. We learn to see it as a friend, something that's guiding us in the right direction. Because I think if you're doing something and you're not getting any feedback from that specific thing and that specific journey, how will you know where you're going? How will you know if you're doing the right or wrong thing? Failure is there to guide you and teach you where you need to be or where you want to be. So it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to dictate your value, no matter how you look at it, or no matter how other people look at it, or the way you perceive it. It simply is. Failure just means that the task was not done correctly. But in that, there's such valuable feedback that you can improve on as a person, and as well as the journey that you're on. You can take that failure and use it to construct a better model of understanding of conceptually how that thing that you're trying to achieve works, and then map a way forward. So that's really, I think, one of the points of failure. But I think we become identified with it. We believe that failure means that we are failures as people, rather than it just being a stepping stone to the next logical or progressive point that we could be at. And so I think it's very important that we learn to become antiquated with it. We become friends with failure. And even we look forward to failure, because then we know that there's a lesson in that. And an interesting thing happens when we have that mindset. We start to actually want to fail, because now we know that there's a lesson in this, and there's some sort of guidance that's showing us which direction we need to head in. And so we start to look forward to failure, because it's something that is a teacher to us. And so that's why I say, when we befriend failure, when we become intimate with it, when we take it away from it dictating our value and rather use it as a guide, we can achieve so much more than we ever thought possible. So as I said, from my experience, I know when I've been trying to achieve things, obviously I've failed multiple times. But in that, you learn to let go of failure dictating how I view myself, and rather view it as a step in which direction I need to head or what I need to improve. And because of that, as I said, it's something that's held me back so long when I fought away failure or try to prevent it, or try to feel like have a negative relationship with it and feel like it dictates my value. It dictates who I am as a person. And that held me back so long, and for a large part of my life. But when I started to embrace failure, when I started to understand that it's part of the process, it's something that needs to be done, and I accepted that, I actually started to look forward to failure. I started to get happy when potentially I was going to fail at something, because I know now it's giving me feedback. Sure, it might sting for a little bit, but at least I know I can take a lesson from this. I know what I need to do next. And so that's why I said it's this dichotomy of holding you back if you have a negative relationship with it. But if you view it in a positive way, where this is a teacher, it's a guide, it's a friend, you can start to realize that when you fail, that's just feedback of your success. And so failure can take you actually so much further than trying to avoid failure, because it's kind of like a GPS. When you're going down a path and the GPS is not saying anything, you just don't know what's happening. However, when you take a wrong turn and the GPS says you need to make a U-turn, it's very clear what you need to do. And so when we view it like that, we can actually start to make tremendous amounts of progress. And as I said, for my personal experience, I've made so much progress by embracing failure. I've gone further than I ever thought was even possible when I started my respective journeys. And I've developed so much as a person. I've developed in my individual capacities in terms of the different facets of my life, in terms of what I'm trying to do, the value I'm trying to create, and the life I want to live, by becoming comfortable and accepting that failure is a part of that journey. And it's something that needs to happen in order for me to get to where I am. And so that's why I say this dual relationship of failure is very powerful, because when we move from that negative, trying to push it away, to embracing it, we can get so much further than we ever thought was possible. And so that's one of the reasons I make these videos, is because I've grown so much as a person in the different avenues of my life, and I feel like a lot of people also have that potential. Actually, everyone has that potential, but in different ways. Some person's going to be, the next best doctor in the world, or they create some sort of system that solves a huge problem that humanity is having. Or maybe they even do something in their life which gives them a huge amount of satisfaction. Those are life-changing things, whether it's on an individual level or a societal level, but everyone has that capacity within them. And failure is the thing that I think that keeps people away from their true potential, because of the fear of what failure means, when it doesn't actually mean anything other than guiding you on the right path. And so I think that's the reason I really make these videos, so that people can understand that these negative things that we sometimes think about ourselves and we sometimes think about the world are oftentimes not even that negative. We just have a certain mindset towards them, or a certain belief structure that makes them seem a certain way. But when we look at them in another way, we can live a life that at one point we never even thought was possible. Maybe we're here in life and we wanted to be here, but as life goes on and as we learn different lessons and as we go through our experiences, we actually one day end up right here. And that's way further than we ever thought was possible. So we have these glass ceilings that are self-imposed because of our beliefs. And I think once we start to embrace failure, once we start to become intimate with the journeys that we're on, we can achieve so much more than we ever thought was possible. And I know I can definitely speak from experience in terms of the things that I've achieved personally in my life that matter to me. But I know anyone listening to this who can resonate with that, or can get to the point where they understand that, I think they can also achieve those in terms of what they want in their life. So I do hope this plants a seed of becoming more intimate and befriending failure, because it's not actually such a bad thing. It's just a guide that's going to get you way further than you ever thought was ever possible in your life. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.